Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Before you dive into this story, go ahead and grab a coffee or some tea because you're not going to want to leave once you start. Today, we're tearing apart one of the hottest and most debated topics of World War II, the duel of two legends, two philosophies, two steel behemoths, the German Tiger and the Soviet IS-2. This isn't going to be dry statistics. This is a story about engineering genius, tactical failures, human courage, and why beautiful duels sometimes lose to an ugly but victorious war. Make sure you comment below telling me which side you'd take, the ruthless hunter or the unstoppable sledgehammer. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our next deep dives. Ternopil, April 25th, 1944. Three shots that changed everything. Picture the spring Ukrainian soil. It's thawed from the winter frosts, turning into a viscous, clinging mud that seizes the tracks of multi-ton machines. The air shudders with distant cannon fire. On the road, slowly, struggling through the mire, moves a column of brand-new, untested Soviet IS-2 heavy tanks. Inside, the smell of diesel, oil, and human sweat. The crews are tense. They know that somewhere nearby, in the ghostly gray zone between our lines and the German positions, cats are prowling, the heavy Tiger tanks. And then it happens. From a distance of 1.5 kilometers, three blinding flashes. Three shots. The first shell from a German 88 slams into the front armor of the lead IS. Something incredible happens. The shell doesn't penetrate the armor. It ricochets. But the force of the impact is monstrous. It smashes the lower 100mm armor plate inward, like a tin can lid, mangling the transmission. The 46-ton behemoth grinds to a halt, like a wounded animal. The Soviet tank's return shot is like thunder from a clear sky. A 25-kilogram armor-piercing shell flies towards the lead Tiger's turret. It seems it will shatter it into splinters. But no, 100mm of German armor, even without clever sloping angles, holds. The shell leaves a deep dent, showers sparks, stuns the crew but doesn't kill. Then the slaughter begins. The Germans don't give them a chance to recover. While the IS crew in their cramped turret, sweating profusely, tries to manually ram another 25-kilogram log of a shell into the breach, followed by a separate heavy casing, the Tigers laid down rapid fire. Their unitary shells fly one after another. 3 against 1. A threefold advantage in rate of fire. Methodically, coldly, as if on a training range, they shoot up the immobilized column. This battle near Ternopil, fought by the platoon of Guards Lieutenant Boris Slyosarenko, became the first documented clash of these titans. And it demonstrated with brutal clarity a paradox that drove Soviet tankers mad and made German aces rejoice. On paper, the IS-2 was more powerful, better protected. But in a real battle, it lost. Why? The answer isn't in millimeters of armor or kilograms of explosives. The answer lies in the tragic gap between the dry theory of ballistics and the bloody practice of tactics. Chapter 1. The Engineering Coliseum. What were these machines, really? Let's step back from that specific battle and look at these two giants from above. This was a clash not just of tanks, but of two opposing engineering schools, two answers to the same question. What should the ideal heavy tank be? The Tiger, a German engineering masterpiece, born in hell. When people talk about the Tiger, they often imagine some clumsy monster. That's a mistake. The Tiger was the apotheosis of German engineering thought, taken to its absolute. It wasn't created as a mass-produced tank, but as a weapon of retribution, a trump card meant to turn the tide of any battle by its mere appearance. Historical context. The idea of a heavy breakthrough tank had been brewing in the minds of German generals since the mid-30s. The experience in France and, more importantly, the first encounters with Soviet T-34s and KV-1s showed that a qualitatively new machine was needed. Work on the Tiger was done in terrible haste. Its prototype was shown to Hitler on his birthday, April 20th, 1942, and by the end of August that same year, the first Tigers were rushing towards Leningrad, where one was knocked out and soon became a Soviet trophy, allowing them to study it inside and out. Economic context. Producing the Tiger was incredibly expensive and complex. A single one cost as much as 4 medium PZI versus. Its interleaved road wheels provided a phenomenal smooth ride, but made replacing an inner wheel on the battlefield a hellish job that could take half a day. The 700 horsepower Maybach engine was unreliable at first and prone to overheating. The transmission and steering were complex. It was an aristocrat of a tank, demanding royal treatment. The IS-2, the Soviet Bogatyr, forged in haste. The Soviet response was different. Not an aristocrat, but a worker of war. Not a masterpiece, but a tool. After encountering the Tigers, it became clear that existing tanks couldn't fight the new German Predator on equal terms. An adequate response was needed, and it was created in record time, based on already proven solutions. Historical context. The birth of the IS-2 is inextricably linked to the captured Tiger, which was delivered to the testing grounds at Kubinka and studied down to the last bolt. It became clear a more powerful gun was needed than the 86mm on the KV and IS-1. The choice fell on the huge 122mm A-19 gun, which was a howitzer. Yes, originally it was a core-level gun. It was hastily adapted for a tank, creating the D-25T system. This decision was both brilliant and controversial. Economic context. The USSR could not afford the Tiger's complexity. This was total war. Factories were evacuated to the east. Women and teenagers stood at the machine tools. The IS-2 had to be simple to produce and repair. Its hull had rational armor slopes, borrowed in part from that same captured Tiger. The V2IS diesel engine was a development of the proven T-34 engine. It was a soldier's tank, created for a war without sentiment. Face-to-face, numbers and facts. Let's finally look at the dry, but oh-so-eloquent numbers. I'll talk about them not like a robot, but like a living person trying to understand the logic of their creators. See what happens. Theoretically, in a one-on-one encounter, the IS-2 should have simply crushed the Tiger. Its shell at 1 kilometer could penetrate almost 150 millimeters of armor, while the front of the IS with its angles was equivalent to 195 millimeters, impenetrable to the Tiger's standard shell. It would seem the outcome of the duel was predetermined. But theory, as we saw near Ternopil, proved deceptive. Chapter 2. The Curse of Separate Loading. 20 seconds of hell. Let's put ourselves in the place of the IS-2's loader for a minute. A battle is raging. Your ears are ringing from the deafening roar of the shot. Your nose is filled with the acrid smell of powder gases. The turret is smoky. You're sitting in a cramped space, surrounded by walls and mechanisms. And now you have to perform a near-circus trick. First step, open the heavy breech, which is recoiled after firing. Second step, take a 25-kilogram shell from the rack. That's the weight of a large water cooler bottle. And, contorting yourself in the tight space, ram it into the gun breech. Third step, now take the powder charge casing. It weighs another 15 kilograms. And shove that into the barrel too. Fourth step, close the breech. Fifth step, yell ready. A trained, strong soldier needed 15 to 20 seconds for all of this. Now imagine that during those 20 seconds, a Tiger is already aiming at you. Your tank becomes a stationary, silent target for that eternity. Emotionally, it's unbearable. Every second is an eternity, a look into the face of death. And what is the Tiger's loader doing at this time? He simply takes one complete unitary round from the rack, weighing 21 kilograms. It's heavy, but it's one motion. Insert into the breech, close the breech, done. It takes 5 to 6 seconds. Therein lies the root of the problem. In a duel situation, the Tiger crew had the right to make a mistake. Missed with the first shot? No problem. While the IS-2 is reloading, you have time for 2 or even 3 aimed shots. You can correct your fire, hit vulnerable spots, the side, the track, the turret ring. The IS-2 crew had no such luxury. Its first shot was an all-or-nothing gamble. Hit. Well done, hero. Missed. You're most likely already dead. This tactical weakness negated all its theoretical superiority in armor and power. Chapter 3. Tactics versus Strategy. The Hunter and the Sledgehammer. But if the rate of fire decided everything, the Tigers would have won all the duels. But we won the war. Why? Because a duel is just a small episode in the vast meat grinder of war. And here we come to the main point, the clash not of tanks, but of military doctrines. The Tiger, the tactical hunter. The Germans, with their limited resources, could not afford mass production of the Tiger. Only about 1,350 were built during the entire war. Each Tiger was a bespoke weapon, an elite tool. They were used as mobile fire brigades. Entire heavy tank battalions were created and shuttled from one threatened sector of the front to another. Their tactic was that of a hunter, the ambush. The Tiger would take up a favorable position on a hill slope, in bushes on the edge of a forest. Its superb optics, binocular sights with 2.5 times magnification and excellent field of view, allowed the crew to see the enemy as clear as day from 1.5 to 2 kilometers away. It would fire the first aim shot, often a second, and if the situation became dangerous, it could retreat at a high speed for a heavy tank, up to 44 kilometers per hour. It would strike and leave. It was not created for a frontal assault on solid defenses. The IS-2, the strategic sledgehammer. The Soviet Union produced about 3,385 IS-2s. That number alone, almost 3 to 1, speaks volumes. But it wasn't just about quantity. The IS-2 was created for a completely different role. It wasn't a hunter, but a sledgehammer. Its purpose was the breakthrough. Imagine a powerful, deeply echeloned German defense. Trenches, pillboxes, bunkers, anti-tank ditches, minefields, artillery positions. And then the moment of the offensive comes. The heavy IS-2 tanks are thrown into the first wave of the attack. Their main enemy in this situation is not German tanks, but concrete fortifications and artillery pieces. And here the powerful 122mm gun showed its true colors. A high explosive fragmentation shell weighing 25 kilograms contained almost 5 kilograms of explosives. A direct hit from such a shell on a pillbox turned it into rubble. One shot at an artillery battery could destroy several guns along with their crews. The IS-2 was a sledgehammer that cracked open the German defense like a tin can. But when this sledgehammer, breaking through the defense, unexpectedly met a Tiger hunter in an open field, its doctrine failed. It was on the offensive, it was blind, the IS's visibility was worse. It was forced to move. And the hunter was already waiting in ambush, taking that fateful first shot. Chapter 4. A War of Motors or a War of Factories. The Economics of Victory. Here we come to the most crucial point, the thing that decided the outcome not only of the duels, but of the entire war. It was the debate between quality and quantity. Or no, that's not entirely right. It was the debate between boutique quality and operational quantity. The German problem, a masterpiece you can't fix. The Tiger was complex not only to produce, but also to repair. That same interleaved suspension that gave a smooth ride was a nightmare for mechanics on the battlefield. To replace one inner road wheel, you often had to remove several outer ones. Imagine doing that under artillery fire or in the mud. Often they didn't. The Germans, retreating, were forced to abandon their knocked-out but not destroyed Tigers. Even a tank with simple engine damage or a broken track was often easier to blow up than to evacuate to the rear. The Wehrmacht's repair services couldn't keep up with the pace of the retreat. The Soviet solution, a tool that can always be fixed. With the IS-2, it was different. Its design was simpler. Repairs were streamlined. There were mobile repair teams that worked literally a few kilometers from the front lines. A knocked-out IS, if it could be dragged from the battlefield, very often returned to service. It was repaired in factories, in field workshops. A tank knocked out in January could be repaired and fighting again by March. And here is the key economic outcome. German industry, with its complex, science-intensive structure, could not cover the losses. Every lost Tiger was an irreplaceable loss. Soviet industry, however, didn't just cover losses, it increased its pace. It churned out more and more new tanks. It worked on the principle, let our tank be a little worse in a duel, But if we make 3 times as many and can repair them 10 times faster, we will crush the enemy with mass. And that's exactly what happened. By 1944, Soviet industry was working like clockwork, while German industry was experiencing monstrous problems with resources, especially alloying metals for armor and labor. The Tiger was a fearsome weapon, but it was a drop in the ocean of war. The IS-2 became part of that ocean. Epilogue: the legacy of the Titans. So who won? So who won this confrontation? The answer is paradoxical. The Tiger won the duels. It remains in history as the unsurpassed duelist, the king of long-range combat, the machine that inspired terror. The victory statistics of Tiger crews are impressive and sometimes frightening. It was an engineering masterpiece, created for an abstract, ideal battlefield where only accuracy and range mattered. But the IS-2 won the war. It proved to be the victor in a real, cruel, total war. A war of attrition. A war where the key to success was not beautiful duels, but production, repairability, simplicity, and the ability to move forward, taking losses, but breaking the enemy with its irresistible power. The IS-2 was not perfect. It was cramped, slow to reload, had a less reliable sight. But it was the right tank for the war the USSR had to fight. Its legacy is not a list of victorious duels. Its legacy is the long, bloody road from Ternopil and the Kursk Bulge to Berlin, paved with the armor of its hull. It was not a masterpiece, but a sledgehammer that drove the final nail into the coffin of Nazism. So that's the story, folks. A story about how tactics can lose to strategy and beauty can lose to functionality. This topic is bottomless, and I'm sure you have things to add. Write in the comments. What do you think? Could the Tiger have been different, more mass-produced, and would that have changed the course of the war? Which of these tanks commands more respect from you? The sophisticated German Predator or the clumsy but victorious Soviet Bogatyr? Or maybe you think I'm wrong about something. Let's argue. Your opinion is incredibly important to us because it's discussions like these that uncover the truth. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video if you found it interesting, and share this material with like-minded friends. We have many more untold stories from the great and terrible chronicle of World War II ahead of us. See you next time.